Good morning, everybody. It's Candace again, and guess what? Another interview with a BIC. It is the greatest thing ever. I'm loving learning about all of these different companies, and today I have a very special guest. I sound like I'm on Mr. Rogers, but that's okay. And his name is Stephen Votino. Did I say that right?
You did.
Yay! And he is with Century 21. And no lie, y'all, I am really excited to learn more about Century 21. Growing up in Michigan, when I thought real estate, that was the name I thought of. The gold jackets, which I know you all don't do anymore. But
Nope.
I mean, that's who I thought of as real estate. So, Stephen, if you would please welcome to the show and
Thank you.
just tell me about Century 21. I am dying to learn. And yeah, I'll just let you go. So, go for it.
I'll tell you about the full company, and I'll kind of tell you about what we're doing in the Triangle. But next year is the 50th anniversary of Century 21. So we're the oldest franchise in the business, and we're also the biggest. We're in around 90 countries now, 14,000 offices worldwide. So Asia, South America, Africa, everywhere you just about think of, we have a global footprint, growing very, very fast in Asia, especially China. So that's nice. We get those global referrals, and then of course we're all over the United States, and then here in the Triangle we have 3 offices. I started the franchise 7 years ago. So we started with our North Hills Raleigh office, and then we added Cary, and then we're sitting now in my Fuquay Marina office right now. So we have 3 offices here in the Triangle, and growing. So.
May I ask how many agents you have all over through the Triangle?
About 85 agents right now.
I love it. So if I mean, of course, and I'm actually asking for me and not just people watching, what is Century 21 like as a company? As I said, I think of gold jackets, but I don't know much more about that. So tell me what Century 21 feels like. What do you all support? What are your beliefs?
Well, it's really interesting because you brought up earlier, talking about the brand change that happened more than 2 years ago now, and Century 21, and especially in this area, is known as the Gold Coats and Old Fashioned. But Century 21 is one of the most advanced companies in real estate when it comes to technology and forward thinking, and I'll get into that a little bit. But this whole image out there with the agents is one of the gold jackets. Consumers, though, have a different impression of us, and for 21 straight years now, we're the number 1 recognized brand, number 1 in awareness, number 1 respected in the world. We've held that for 21 straight years now, and we're off the chart with millennials. We're number 1 when it comes to preferred and referred business and likely to use from our millennials, and for Hispanics. So the 2 fastest growing buying segments in the country. Century 21 has a lead in those, and this really has a lot to do with our legacy and the forward thinking that we've done in the investments that Century 21 has made, in things like we have Espanol.com, we have Century21Global.com that's got 18 different languages, 40 currencies, and Fine Home in the States, and in all these areas and across all these markets. And we just saw that we have a 98% customer satisfaction rate that just came through, so very, very high. And that speaks very highly of Century 21 and the current mission we're on, which is to get away from the transactional feeling of real estate and making it more experiential. So really taking it to another level when it comes to the client experience, from the almost a white glove. And we introduced actually a full-time free concierge service to our clients for life just recently.
Wow. Yeah, I have so many questions. Let me start with, what do you think brings the millennials? Like I heard you mention technology, very popular with the millennials. Can you tell me about some of that technology you're offering?
Yeah, so when it comes to, as far as attracting the customer or the agent?
You know what? How about both?
Okay, we'll start with the customer. So Century 21 spends a lot of time on the marketing side. So one of the things they decided to do going back a few years ago was get involved with the influencers on the web. So your YouTube, your popular people with the most followers and stuff like that, they started teaming up with them and doing programming with them and getting involved with them. So they're very forward thinking because we have a very strong marketing department that's award winning and great leadership there. So they're always doing things on behalf. And that's the nice thing about a franchise sometimes is that we have money, I pay money as a franchise owner to them for this type of marketing, which they're taking care of all the big things like figuring out how we're going to be number one in certain markets and making sure we're on TV and things like that, which trickles down into website views and it gets attention. So with the millennials, they started doing that and some other campaigns. Did a lot of campaigns that were focused on where millennials were going to spend their time. And that led to a higher traffic with millennials and a higher preference and recognition rate, which is great because you want to think of Century 21 and millennials together, but all the data shows that they're number one. They literally were one in every category. The last Miller Brown study I saw when it came to millennials. So they did a really impressive job. I'm really happy with them on that. And then for the agents, what's nice about the agents is that Century 21 is very big on onboarding and training. So for me in the Triangle Group, a brand new agent gets an intense 1 year onboarding that comes with a mentor for a full year, one-on-one coaching, and quite a bit of training that's ran by corporate and then also by us. So they're getting because usually when you talk to new agents, they talk about training and they talk about leads. So that leads me to leads, which is something that Century 21 focuses on, is getting more leads into their franchises. So they spend a lot of money and time on that. Century21.com gets about 48 million visitors alone just on that website. And of course, we've got other websites out there, and they're doing other things to drive leads to us, in which we give to our agents on rotation. So whether you're brand new or the most experienced agent here, you're treated exactly the same in the company, and you go on rotation, and management doesn't manipulate that. The computer does it. You get your lead, you go back down the bottom, you rotate around. And then we've got about 6 other lead programs in the company that people can participate in. Some of them, if you're brand new, some of them we have partners where you have to have a little bit more experience, but we coach them up to be able to get to there. So leads and training is one of the things that millennials and pretty much any agent really should be seeking out. I think we're always in a continuous learning, whether you're experienced or brand new. And then leads help. I look at leads from an owner standpoint and an agent from, they're a business owner. And we focus heavy on building a network and repeat referral business. And leads can turn into closings, which turns into clients for life and repeat referral business. So it's not just one paycheck. It's multiple paychecks. And I think it was NAR, I forgot the organization came out, a client is worth $117,000, right? But most agents don't treat it that way. And when you think about the opportunity there is out there to build a network and repeat referral business, and then you see stats like 89, 90% of people surveyed said they'll use their agent again, but only 11% do. There's a giant gap in where we're spending our time as agents. So we're a little bit different with leads. We don't treat them as transactional. It's very experiential with our clients. So we keep them for life. And we have an entire program around that to help agents in order to keep and retain them. And in fact, we graduated 2 classes this year around that. And we're doing a bunch of other things in our marketing department to make sure that the experience is second to none for the clients, which actually ends with the champagne closing when they close and then keeps going from there.
You just said so much. So I just want to repeat a couple of
things. I know.
It's okay because I just learned a lot. So first, this is rewind all the way back. I love that your company was focused so much, not just on diversity, but inclusion. Like that, personally, that just warms my heart. And then as an instructor, a teacher, a mentor, I'm hearing you say a new agent has an onboarding process for a year, getting them ready. That is amazing. And I've had nobody else say that. A mentor, one-on-one coaching. I mean, that is something people need to know about because that's the big question. What happens when I come out of class? And the idea of somebody knowing they can have, I don't want to say hand-holding, but guidance through their first year. As you and I know, not everybody makes it through that first year. So having that kind of support must be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things we look at. So one, we're pretty selective when we hire because we're really looking for people that have the right expectations about real estate. The first year can be very tough, and some of them come up with these unrealistic expectations. It doesn't mean that those can't be achieved sometimes, but there's a lot of factors you have to figure out, like how big is your network? Are you new to this area, don't know anyone? How good are you at connecting with people? Because this is a people-to-people business. And if you don't understand that, technology is great, but it's in the background. This is a human to human, people to people. I'm still big on the handshake and the meeting, and more difficult right now, but essential. And I told my agents the other day and said, in last year was the highest on record of agent use by the consumer. So think about that. As technology increases, agents were used more than ever in 2019 in our industry. So it says a lot about what it takes to really make that connection, get to the closing, and keep that, and get that repeat referral business.
Now, this is completely not what you're talking about, but I just want to point out, you are throwing out some great numbers. And a lot of times when I'm talking to agents or I'm training them, they don't understand the importance of numbers. And I think you just gave a wonderful example of how somebody can use specifics, like talking about how, I think you said 88 or 89% of people would use their agent again, but only 11% actually of agents actually follow up, which I remember correctly comes from the NAR profile on home buyers and sellers. So completely not what you were talking about, but I wanted to point it out because you did such an amazing job in doing that. Knowing those numbers and having those numbers are amazing. So I've got to assume whatever training and mentoring you're doing, that has got to be awesome in your office. You're really just following through. So having said that,
focus on with the training, because of the, whether there's experience or new, it's like you've got to understand that you like we did an analysis this year, and we realized if you do an average agent in our company, if you're closing at conservatively company leads, we said, what does that mean over time? And we did a 10-year study, and it was just under $500,000 of actual take-home income after commission splits and other fees that they can make by just converting those leads and then getting some of that repeat referral business. And that was being very, very conservative, just seeing that those things are important. So that feeds into our training, because I think that the agents don't understand all that goes into not only the transactions, right, but the relationship and the follow-up that has to be done. And it's an intense amount of follow-up that has to be done in order to retain that person. I always tell my agents, you haven't earned the business yet at closing. You earn it after. You get a lot of people you just meet for the first time, you go shopping, you buy a house, and to me, you got the closing, but you haven't earned that business yet. And what I mean by that is referrals. So that's where we spend a lot of time training on that piece of it.
And if I heard you correctly, you said that there were 6 or 7 different company-wide lead sources?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. That is amazing. So you offer training, you offer leads. So
for no cost to the agent. It's all broker provided. We do have a couple of partners where they pay a referral fee, but we have a philosophy and a couple of the owners in Century 21. We had this thing like, when did it stop becoming the broker's responsibility to provide leads for their agents? So we don't charge extra. Your commission split, no matter where you are in it, and that's your lead to work. So we're not going to take an extra referral fee or percentage off that because it's a lead we provided.
I love that. So with all of these agents that you're training, I would really love to know, in the what you've seen, what are the questions? What do you look for in a successful agent?
I think they need to understand, one, successful agents understand that it's a business where it's going to take a little time to get off and running. So when we're talking to them, coming in with expectations like they're prepared for the first 3 to 6 months, potentially not getting a paycheck. The ones that understand the whole process of real estate, like you just coming in here, even if you did get someone right away, it's still going to take a couple months or longer to get to a check. So having a realistic expectation about that, wanting the training, being committed to the training, and wanting to come into the office, or being committed to, like we do a lot via Zoom right now, and being absolutely committed to that. Because I can tell you right now, the ones who skip those things do not make it, or frankly, we ask them to leave. Because if you're not going to participate, and we invest a lot of our time, even as an owner, I individually coach. I see myself more as a coach than anything else in the company. So if I'm showing up to our group coaching or individual coaching, and I can make the time to do it, I expect you to do it. So you can start when you're doing interviews and talking to people about their attitude, their the way, and a lot of them had professional careers beforehand, and kind of get an idea how they treated that and how they worked through that. I can get an idea if they fit into our culture, and if they're going to be able to take advantage of the stuff we have to offer.
Awesome. I mean, it sounds like no, it doesn't even sound like you have a lot to offer. Do you offer any type of training for part-time agents? I've had a couple of people ask me about that. And I mean, I know how I feel. I prefer when agents come in full-time, but does your company have a part-time training program, or is it something that you kind of shy away from?
We, yes and no. So a couple of the offices do accept part-timers and they do get training. But it is more difficult, obviously, because they can't attend everything. And there are certain things that they can't participate in because if the other agents are full-time and working, it's not fair to them. My Fuquay office, we only take full-time agents, and there's everyone in here is full-time. And the way we do things in this particular office, and it is a high production office. They all are pretty much high per PPP, production per person. But in this one, because they're all full-time and the way floor duty and certain things are done here, it's impossible to take a part-time agent. But the other two can handle it.
So in your experience, like if you had to do this all over again and you were starting out and you had to go interview offices, what questions would you be asking a BIC personally? What would you be looking for in a BIC and an office?
Well, one thing, I'll tell you what, when I got my license, I went and interviewed with all the big companies, and I went home and I said, absolutely, to my wife, said, absolutely not. I'm not working for any of them. And that included the old Century 21 that was here. And the main reason was, and this is where agents have to be careful, they didn't care about me. I could breathe. So I was getting a job offer. And I'm like, I came out of an industry where it was really, really tough to get a job. They hired the cream of the crop. So I'm like, I'm not going to fit in with these kind of low expectations. So what they really should be finding out is it a place that just recruits, or are they seriously bringing in someone that can spend the time with them? Like we make a commitment, and we don't have a ton of agents because if we can't spend one-on-one time with you, then we're too big. So you need to find out who's going to be spending time with you and training you. And it's not just these quick 4-8 week training programs they put you through and then you're off on an island, which is what a lot of big companies do. It never stops in our company. We have some of our most experienced top producers are in training programs and in coaching. My second top producer in the company, who was brand new to us 2 years ago, doing $1 million, is just shy of $15 million 2 years later, and she gets direct coaching from me, and she continues to do so every single week because she sees the benefit of being held accountable. And if they're not doing those kind of things and they can't prove it, you got to ask for proof. It's very easy that they say it's great, we have training, but what does that look like? Look at these top producers. Well, can you produce them? Do you have proof that this works? We have leads. Can you produce those leads for me? How many do I get? I remember when I was interviewing years ago, well, we can't give you leads yet. You haven't been here, when you come and you're here for a couple of years. And I'm like, but I'm a brand new agent. Where am I supposed to start getting business in? How am I going to practice? Right. And that's the one thing that we realize is that even though our new agents are not completely trained up yet for lead conversion, we give them the leads, right? Because they got to get practice. So we just had a meeting the other day and we have a new group of agents right out of school coaching group that we particularly buy extra leads for just to train them on. So think about that. So you got to think about what are those companies doing for you, because it's tough to make it as a brand new agent. And I don't sugarcoat it when I meet with them. There's a 85% turnover rate. We know what the salaries are. You go look at the stats, your take-home pay. You don't have to be a statistic if you have the right mental mindset coming in, and you really have to work. It's not a flexible job. I hate that. I got into real estate because it's flexible. It's not flexible at all. it's flexible. I'm like, oh my God, I go pick up my sick kid from school, right? You can go do that, but it's not flexible in that you can just work whenever you want. It is a 40, 50, 60 hour a week plus job if you want to be successful, especially when you're first getting started.
I hope everybody just heard that, because that is what I hear so much in real estate classes. Oh, I got into real estate so I could be my own boss and pick my own hours and really have the flexibility. And I'm like, no, that's not kind of how it's going to work. And it sounds like you've put together a training program and you're setting those expectations from the beginning that, hey, you've got to put the work in, that you've got to do all of this. So I know this is going to be a little bit of a weird question, but I've been asking the different BICs for your company, yours specifically, so not necessarily the brand unless you have one. What would be your office mascot? I know.
That is, well, we do have an office mascot, and it's my little Chihuahua. So Ray, who's about all of 4 pounds, and so I would have to say, even though it's not the most a big giant mascot or anything, but what we always say is we're that little Chihuahua can become a bulldog, right? So we actually use her as an example sometimes like that, because just because you're a little Chihuahua doesn't mean you can't become or have the mindset of a bulldog, right? So as part of our agents, and mindset's big with us like that, and that's actually perfect that she's our little mascot, because when I bring her down to Fuquay, she does walk around here like she owns the place, right? So that it's all, I always tell my agents, get the head trash out of there. It's positive mindset, right? Don't say, I think I can, or I hope I can. No, you will. You will do the work. You will succeed, right? We get in our own way all the time. And there's a lot of hard work. I've had one part-time agent, and I'll think of all the training we do that's been successful. And she's still with us. And we took her in, and she was a veterinarian surgeon, and she hurt her hand and couldn't perform surgery anymore. And now she just does some vet work, and she does all these things. And I meet with her quite often. But her first year with the company as a part-time agent closed 14 company leads as a brand new agent. And she's on that same path again. She's an incredible lead converter, very personable, takes to training and feedback very well, and obviously extremely smart. She was a surgeon. So we took a chance on her, and it paid off. But she works her butt off. I don't know when she does other things, but she's, I get stuff at 1 o'clock in the morning from her, but that's what it takes sometimes. She wants to replace her veterinarian surgeon money with real estate, and she's well on her way. She's, her first year just finished, just shy of 100,000, and her first year, and the company leads really helped her with that. And now she's building a referral-based business and getting more listings and working the leads, and that's starting to happen. And now I'm trying to get her to pull that Band-Aid off so that she could go full time. But that's the next.
I might want to interview her. I think that is exactly letting people hear that what it takes to be successful. So after this interview, we might have to talk about that. But I don't want to keep you so long that I know you've got work to do and things like that. Our watchers do. One of the things I heard you say is that you're selective in who you bring into the company. If somebody wants to learn more, if they're interested in learning about Century 21, what you have to offer, is this the home for me? Do you all have a process, an application? Tell me how they could get in touch with you. What's the best thing to do?
So we have a career website. So it's C21TG, so triangle TGcareers.com. Okay. And that gives you quite a bit of information on there. It's pretty comprehensive, but it doesn't have everything on there. But you can contact us through there. You can follow me on Facebook. I have something called TG Production Coaching. So anyone can join that. And it's a lot of the video training and tips and stuff I give to our agents, and I share it throughout the triangle. If anyone wants to follow that, you can contact me through there as well. And then you can just reach out to any of us in the offices. I always think it's a good idea to go interview. You can always do an interview. You can turn down an offer, right? So I'd rather turn down multiple offers and then just go on one interview. So do the interviews, and I said, be careful. ask for the proof, ask, high failure rate. And there's a reason for that.
Stephen,
And because there's some offices that have hundreds of agents in it. I know every single agent's name in my company. I handwritten Christmas cards this year. It's like, it's part of what you need in your corner. Oh, and none of our managers sell real estate.
Oh, none of your managers sell real estate. So you're not in competition with your
We're
BICs
100% training, coaching, compliance, things like that. We if we're out selling, we can't be helping you if we're at a listing appointment. So it's a rule in our company, they're not allowed to sell.
I mean, my little teacher trainer heart is just loving this. And I am so glad that you have given me the opportunity to learn about Century 21. I can see why there's been such success. And you said it was 21 years of being the #1 recognized brand. I mean, that's amazing. And it sounds like you're giving the support that people need.
They have 90, I can't remember, it's 94 or 95% brand awareness across the globe. And that's Coke numbers. Those are big time numbers. And that says a lot about the brand, the 50 years, what they do from a marketing standpoint. And it matters as a brand new agent, when you walk in and you don't have to explain who you are and who you work for. Everyone knows who Century 21 is, and they have a great reputation. And that does help. It helps my brand new agents when they go in for a listing appointment, when they have a great brand behind them, because the consumer, especially the ones moving here from the Northeast, California, Florida, they are in Century 21 territory. They've probably used them before, or family members, and they've certainly seen the signs. So that goes a long way.
I love it.
That's a little plug for us there.
Well, that's a great plug. This whole thing has just been, for me, eye-opening. I'm so glad I got to learn more. And again, you gave me exactly what I was looking for. You gave us the opportunity to understand who Century 21 is and what it is that the company has to offer. And it sounds like you're offering everything here. I mean, not that people don't have to work, but you all really have a system, and it sounds like it's working. I'm impressed. And I'm not easily impressed. So,
oh, thank you.
Let me just say thank you so much for your time. I have all your contact information on the screen, and of course, I'll have it in the description below. So to everybody, I hope once again that this interview with the BIC has been helpful. Ask your questions. If you need to, go back, rewind, because I gotta say, Stephen just put out a lot of really great information. And find the company that works best for you. So I know that it's been awesome for me. I hope it's been awesome for you, and I'll see you later. Bye.
All right, thank you.